Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kanchi Shah, and I head the business vertical for the EMEA markets at Strategy. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all here to the urgency of hybrid skill development webinar on behalf of Kushalta Academy and Strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has taught the Indian industry many lessons, not least of them being that despite the fears that work from home pressures could be debilitating, organizations discovered a near seamless adaptation to a new way of working, as also the fact that this would perhaps be a blueprint for the future of work and future of skills. Even before the pandemic, technology and new age thought processes and HR related operating models were transforming the way work was being accomplished. The accelerated adoption of technology has only made the transformation more urgent. Within the many foundational aspects of future of work, adapting employee skills and roles to the post pandemic ways of working will be crucial to building operational model resilience. As the pandemic begins to ease, many companies are planning a new combination of remote and on site working, a hybrid virtual model in which some employees are on premise while others work from home. The new model of work promises greater access to talent, increased productivity for individuals and small teams, lower costs, and more individual flexibility, improved employee experiences as well. Of course, organizations are also acknowledging the traditional norms that underpin culture and performance, ways of working, as well as standards of measuring productivity, concepts and models that stand ready to be challenged and changed. That is exactly what we aim to address through this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, we would urge you to address your questions to our speakers using the chat feature on your screen. Also, towards the end of the conference, we would request you to please spend a few moments of your time and share your feedback. Your feedback is absolutely essential for us. You can do so by filling in the feedback form. Please feel free to mention any suggestions or comments that you have. And this would help us enhance the content, structure, and delivery of our conferences and webinars. With that, to kick off today's session, I'd like to welcome Mr. Amit Garg, who is an unlearning coach and corporate trainer with Kushalta Private Limited. Kushalta Private Limited improves profitability of organizations on measurable metrics by changing behavior of leaders, teams, using mind techniques. The customers include Maruti Suzuki, India Post Payments Bank, G&D Currency Technology, etc. Amit is also an MBA from XIM Bhubaneswar and has worked in the corporate world for 13 years with companies like HP, ICICI Lombard, Reliance Retail, to name a few. He is a marathon runner, a voracious reader, and likes doing meditation. He's fascinated by the capabilities of the human mind and follows the latest discoveries in quantum physics and neuroscience. Today, he's going to talk to us about unlock exponential employee performance and how to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now hand it over to Amit.
Great. So before we begin, I would like to tell you all about who I am, what I do, and what mind programming is all about. So let's begin with a small activity. If I could request everyone to please sit with your neck and back straight, both feet on the ground, and take a deep breath in and out. One more time, take a deep breath in and hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3, and release. Now clasp your hands in front of you and press them as tightly as possible. Put in as much effort as you can, all the effort that you can, as tight as possible. Now relax, keep holding your hands and raise the 2 forefingers in front of each other at a gap of 1 inch between them. And put your entire focus on the gap between the fingers. Take a deep breath in and out. And as you put your focus on the gap between the fingers, you'll suddenly notice that the fingers have started coming close together. You may find it funny, but the fingers will keep on coming close together as if there is an invisible thread woven around the fingers, which is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And even if you want to stop your fingers coming close together, you won't be able to do it, as if this invisible thread is getting all the more tighter and tighter and tighter. All right, so you can keep the hands down now. And I think 80% of us would have experienced our fingers coming close together. So was this mind programming? Yes and no. It was part biology, because when the three fingers are bent, they force the fourth finger also to bend. But there was also an element of suggestibility. Somewhere I was giving you a suggestion that your fingers are coming close together, and your brain was accepting that. All right, so friends, the world is in a continuous flux. The world as we knew earlier has completely changed, and this is going to be the future. And we are going to be living in a hybrid world. But even before the pandemic, because of technological innovations, disruptions, the world had been a continuous flux for the last few years. And I was reading a report that in the next 30 years, an average person will change his or her job 7 times in the next 30 years. And out of these 7 jobs, 5 jobs are yet to be created. So it's very important to continuously reskill ourselves, upskill ourselves, but also de-skill ourselves. Why? As we'll discuss further in this session. And the organizations are keenly aware of this. And that is why they're looking for employees who are open to the hybrid world, who are open to change, who are continuously innovating themselves, who are open to handle adversity adroitly, and who are keen to learn and improve themselves. But the challenge they are facing is getting acceptance of change from the employees. For example, we have been doing a lot of workshops on handling virtual meetings. Even handling virtual meetings is a problem. So people find it very difficult to handle change, to being open to a hybrid model and the future disruptions which are expected to happen. And this is something which is very surprising, because we stay in a connected world and we have so much information all around us that we have to be open to change. I mean, if we talk about platforms like LinkedIn, then every third post is about being in the hybrid model, being open to change, and prepared to change the disruptions. Now, as per a report by Forbes, in the year 2018, in US, a total of $87.5 billion was spent on corporate training. And this corporate training mostly was on leadership and professional development. And we assume that if so much money was spent, then the results would have also would have been good. Now, surprisingly, as per another report, next year, even more money was spent. So where is this money going? Why do companies need to spend more and more money on training their employees on the same things? Why? There is another report by University of Scranton that 92% of people, 92% of people who set New Year goals never actually achieve them. So why is it so difficult for people to repeatedly attend trainings and not being able to change themselves? And so the organizations have to again spend that money, or for individuals to set New Year goals but not being able to achieve them. So there is a good news, friends. It may not be 100% our fault. It may be the result of how our brain has got wired. And maybe this wiring is the reason why we find it difficult to change ourselves. So in today's world, employees need to learn to be prepared to change. But what is learning? When we talk about learning, the image which comes to the mind is of a classroom where an all-knowing professor is standing and the students are sitting with their notepads and pens ready, taking down notes. But could learning be defined as some wiring in the brain, which either we are conscious about or it is something we are not even conscious about? And this wiring is the reason why changing our behavior is a challenge. So let's analyze them. Let's first analyze the learning, the wiring that we are conscious about. So let's do a small activity. If I ask you to move your hands like this, I'm sure everybody can do that, because this is some learning that we have taken since childhood and it is wired very deeply in our brain. Now imagine a scenario where this learning is of no longer use to us. So we need to move one hand in one direction, but we need to move the other hand in the opposite direction, like this. Moving one hand in one direction and the other hand in the opposite direction. Just try it. So most of us will find that it's very difficult. Why? Because the earlier learning, the learning, this old learning is so strong that unless we unlearn this old learning, it will be difficult for us to acquire the new learning. And this wiring, this learning is something that we are consciously aware of. But 90% of the learning in our brain is something that we consciously don't even know about. Let me give you an example. If I ask any one of you, or if I ask a person walking down the road that, are you biased? Then 99% that person will say, no, I'm not biased. Now, Harvard has a very interesting project called implicit association test. And in this test, they do online tests where they check the biases of people, biases related to uh, people of other gender, biases related to people of other religion, other country, biases between home life, work life, and hundreds and thousands of people have taken these tests. And as per Harvard, out of the hundreds and thousands of people who have taken these tests, they haven't found one single person who is unbiased. All of us are biased, but we are not aware of these biases. And if you type on Google implicit association test, you can take these tests. They're free of cost. I suggest everyone to take these tests. Why? Because our brain has the capacity to receive 11 million bits of information in a given minute. 11 million bits. And out of these 11 million bits of information, if I ask you how many bits of information are we consciously aware of, then most of the guesses which I get in my workshops are usually wrong. The answer is only 2000 bits. So out of the 11 million bits of information that we receive in a given minute, we are consciously aware of only 2000 bits, and the balance 10.998 million bits of information, does it create certain wiring in our brain? So let's have a look at this small video. And at the end, it's a very short video, and at the end, they'll ask you a question. And I want you to have a look at this video and then answer the question. All right, now think of a fruit. Think of the first fruit which comes to your mind. So how many of us thought of apple? I think most of us would have thought of apple. Now look at this video in the slow motion. I'm just taking out one part of this video in the slow motion. So you were shown the spelling of an apple for a very short period of time. So it was that 10.998 million bits of information which happened in front of us. Our brain received this information. And even though we were consciously not aware of it, it wired our brain for a very short period of time. So to change, to be able to adjust to the hybrid world, to be able to handle disruptions, we need to rewire our brain. And to rewire our brain, we first need to understand how wiring gets created. And for that, we need to understand how our mind works. So for this, let me do a small activity. If I could ask all of you to again sit with your neck and back straight, take a deep breath in and out. Now raise your hands like this in front of each other. And at the count of 5, clap once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So did you clap at the count of 5 or did you clap at the count of 4? So 80% of the people would have clapped at the count of 4, even though I asked you to clap at the count of 5. Why? Because I did that. And friends, this is what mind programming is all about, being open to suggestions. As long as we are suggestible, we can change. Now I have drawn an image of the mind, even though mind doesn't have any image, it's an energy, it's a vibration. But for the sake of understanding, I have drawn an image of the mind. And our mind has two parts, the logical brain, which is the area behind our forehead. This is called prefrontal cortex. And this is the area where all our logical thoughts come. But the 90% of the brain volume is this brain area where all our memories and experiences are stored. And all these, we have 200 billion neurons in our brain, and every neuron is connected to 10,000 other neurons. And in this area, there are trillions of synapses, these connections, these are called synapses. There are trillions of synapses, and we have a synapse for almost everything. And these synapses are the reason why we tend to behave in a particular way, or why we find it difficult to change our behavior. So let's do a small activity. I'll ask you to In this activity, I'll ask you to imagine that you are first brushing your teeth with your weak hand. So if you are a right-hander, I'll ask you to imagine that you are brushing your teeth with your left hand. And then I'll ask you to imagine that that you are brushing your teeth with your strong hand. So if you are a right-hander, I'll ask you to imagine that you are brushing your teeth with your right hand. So sit with your neck and back straight, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in and out. One more time, take a deep breath in and hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3, and release and just relax. Now just imagine, if you don't have a good imagination, just imagine that you have one. Just imagine that you have your toothbrush in your weak hand. So if you're a right-hander, just imagine that you have your toothbrush in your left hand and you have the toothpaste with the top open in your right hand, and now you are applying the toothpaste on the toothbrush. You keep the toothpaste down, and now you are slowly bringing your weak hand to your mouth. You open your mouth and start brushing your teeth like you normally do. Imagine yourself brushing your teeth with your weak hand. Very nice. Now keep the hand down. Now just imagine, keep your eyes closed. Just imagine that you have your toothbrush in your strong hand. So if you're a right-hander, just imagine that you have your toothbrush in your right hand and you are now applying the toothpaste on the toothbrush. You keep the toothpaste down and you are now bringing the strong hand to your mouth and you are brushing your teeth. Just imagine brushing your teeth with your strong hand. Very nice. Now you can keep the hand down and open your eyes. Now I want to ask you a question. How many of us experience that when we were imagining that we are brushing our teeth with our left hand, the speed was slow, but when we imagined brushing our teeth with the strong hand, the speed was fast? Did you experience that? I think 80% of us would have experienced that. So this is why, because we have a wiring in the brain of brushing our teeth with our strong hand. And this wiring is so strong that even when we are imagining, it's difficult for us to brush the teeth with the weak hand because there is no wiring for it. And this is in our imagination. So think about 90% of the time when we tend to behave in a certain way, and it's because of this wiring. So our each behavior, each emotional response, all condition response, all the beliefs that we have are caused by this wiring. Now, what are the properties of logical brain? It just thinks, plans, and decides. So let's imagine my doctor has asked me to start exercising and I've decided, come what may, tomorrow morning I'll wake up at 5 o'clock and I'll go for exercise. So I take out my running shoes, I set my running clothes, and I set the alarm for 5 o'clock. But what happens when the alarm starts ringing at 5 o'clock? I just put it on snooze and go back to sleep. Why? Because till the time, whatever decision that we take filters down in the brain and creates a wiring for it. We don't act on it. So what are the properties of the brain wiring? All the feelings, memory, imagination, and autonomous body functions are controlled by the wiring. So let me give you an example of imagination, how powerful the imagination is. Let's do a small activity. In this activity, I'll ask you to raise your hands and then I'll ask you to close your eyes and imagine that two very powerful magnets of opposite ends are connected to your hands. So sit with your neck and back straight, both feet on the ground, and stretch your hands in front of you like this at a gap of 6 inches between them. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. One more time, take a deep breath in and hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. And now just imagine that two very powerful magnets of opposite ends are attached to your hands. And these are very powerful magnets. And you know that magnets of opposite ends attract towards each other. And these magnets are so powerful that they have the capacity to start getting attracted towards each other from a very large distance. And your hands have started getting attracted towards each other. And once the movement starts, it will start picking up speed by itself, because these are very powerful magnets. They have the ability to start getting attracted towards each other from a very large distance. And your hands are coming all the more closer and close together because these are very powerful magnets. They have the ability to start getting attracted towards each other from a very large distance. Your hands are picking more and more speed. And even if you want to stop your hands coming close together, you won't be able to do it because these are very powerful magnets. Your hands are almost touching now. All right, so you can open your eyes, keep your hands down. So how many of us experience the hands coming close together? I think around 70-80% of us would have experienced that. This is the power of imagination, friends. And our imagination, as per Mr. Albert Einstein, is more powerful than our intelligence. So now 90% of our behavior is based on the wiring, like I said. But how does this wiring get created? So if I ask, in case there is anyone here who's scared of cockroaches, insects, or lizards, or in case you know someone who's very much scared of cockroaches, insects, or lizard, if I ask that person that how did you learn how to be scared of cockroaches, insect, or lizard, they may not be able to answer. Now, how did this wiring of being scared of these things get created? So let's imagine a toddler who has just learned how to crawl. And imagine that this toddler notices an insect some distance away. How will the toddler react? It will start crawling towards the insect. How will the parents react? Chee, dirty, don't go there, it will bite you. The toddler would look at the insect, so attractive, look at the parent, and maybe again start crawling towards the insect. Now, the parents, their ego will get hurt. If the toddler is not listening to me, why is the toddler not listening to me? So they'll use an advanced technique. They'll show that they themselves are scared. Oh, it bit me, it bit me, it will also bite you. Don't go there. It bit me, it's paining so much. Don't don't go there. And this creates a wiring in the brain which is made stronger by the feeling of fear. And this feeling is so strong, this wiring is so strong that even when the child grows up into a mature adult and knows that the cockroach or the insect might be dirty but cannot harm him or her in any way, he or she is scared of the same. Let me give you another example. Do we know anyone who's scared of getting inside a lift, who just cannot enter inside a lift? Now, how did this wiring get created? Most probably when that person was a small child, maybe he or she was threatened by the parents. You better start listening to me. Unless you start listening to me, I'll lock you in the dark room. You know what is there in the dark room? Cockroaches, lizard, insect, chudel, witch, atma. You better start listening to me. And this may have created such a strong wiring, made stronger by the feeling of fear, that even now, when the child has grown up into a mature person and knows that it is perfectly safe to go inside the lift, the wiring makes it almost impossible for that person to do it. And if you ask that person why you can't enter, he or she will be unable to answer because the wiring happened so long back. And friends, this is how 90% of our behavior is like this. When we try to change, we find it difficult because we don't know about the wiring, because this wiring happened so long back. Then how can we change our behavior? Till the age of 7 years, our prefrontal cortex, our logical brain, doesn't start developing. So all the information that our brain receives instantaneously starts creating wiring. So what we hear, a child hears, sees, notices how the parents are behaving, how the others are behaving. It creates wiring in the brain. Whatever we learn in our entire life, up to 70% of that happens before the age of 7. And all this wiring, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the way we behave in certain situations is created in that time. And what did our parents tell us when we were young, when we were kids? Stop going out to play, stop watching TV. You have to study for 15 hours a day. There is so much competition, implying that you are not good, or don't trust anyone. You have to depend only on yourself. So how can that person who grows up to be a leader will trust his or her subordinates? Because this is the wiring, don't trust anyone, or success is difficult, or always play safe, don't take risks. And these are the wirings which get created since childhood. And after the age of 7, because our prefrontal cortex starts getting developed, we find it difficult to change our behavior because we logically start questioning everything. So when I give the example of exercise, my logical brain starts creating barriers. How can you get up early? You have a very important meeting tomorrow. If you wake up early, you will feel sleepy throughout the day and you will spoil your meeting. So you finish your meeting tomorrow and then start getting up early. Or you anyway go to sleep late. So first you change the habit of going to sleep on time, start going to sleep on time, and then you start waking up early. Or stop torturing yourself, you'll never be able to do it. Or when we want to change ourselves, the logical brain creates barriers. What if the change doesn't work? What if it is very difficult? What if it takes too much time? If you fail, what will people say? They'll make fun of you. What if it affects your job? How will you meet your expenses? And so on and so forth. And this wiring is the reason why we find it difficult to change our behavior. So wiring gets created by repeated practice and emotional experiences. So friends, let's try to uncover some wiring, and let me do a small meditation exercise. In this exercise, I'll ask you to focus on your breathing, and then I'll ask you to open your eyes and look at one point on the ceiling at an angle of 45 degrees. So sit with your neck and back straight, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in and out. One more time, take a deep breath in and hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. And release and just relax. Keep your eyes closed and put your entire focus on your breathing. Notice how breath is slowly and slowly coming out of your nostrils, and how slowly and slowly it's coming inside your nostrils. How nice it would be if with each outgoing breath we allow all our stress, all our tension to slowly leave our body, and with each incoming breath we allow a new relaxation to slowly and slowly enter our body. Very nice. Now just imagine that with each outgoing breath, your body has started dropping down on the chair, and you have also allowed your body to start dropping down as if you have no control over your body. Now I'll count from 1 to 3, and with each count, your body will more and more drop down on the chair. And at the count of 3, it will totally drop down like a deflated balloon with no air inside. 1, your body is more and more dropping down on the chair, and you have also allowed your body to start dropping down. 2, your body is all the more dropping down on the chair, and at the count of 3, it will totally drop down like a deflated balloon with no air inside. Then 3, your body has totally dropped down like a deflated balloon with no air inside. Very nice. Now I want you to open your eyes, and without moving your neck, look at one point on the ceiling at an angle of 45 degrees. Your eyes will start getting tired, but you have to keep looking at this point without blinking your eyes. Allow your eyes to become as heavy as they want to be, but you have to keep looking at this point without blinking your eyes. Your eyes are getting all the more heavier and heavier, but you have to keep looking at this point without blinking your eyes. Now I'll count from 1 to 3, and with each count, your eyes will become more and more heavy. And at the count of 3, they'll become very heavy and close. 1, your eyes are becoming heavier and heavier, and you have also allowed your eyes to become heavy. 2, your eyes are becoming all the more heavy. And at the count of 3, they'll become very heavy and close. And 3, close your eyes. Very nice. Now, the relaxation you are feeling in your eyes, I want you to use your imagination and spread this relaxation throughout your body. I'll count from 1 to 3, and with each count, you'll become more and more relaxed. And at the count of 3, you'll become 10 times more relaxed than now. 1, and just relax, relax, relax. 2, all the more, just relax, relax, relax. And 3, and relax, relax, relax. Very nice. Now I'll count from 1 to 3, and with each count, you'll start coming back to your normal state. And at the count of 3, you'll come back to your normal state and open your eyes. 1, focus on your breathing. 2, breathe in, breathe out. And 3, open your eyes. Welcome back. Now, friends, in the next part, I want to do an activity where you would be needing your notepad and pen. So get your notepad and pen. There will be different questions appearing on your screen, one after the other, and I want you to write down the first answer which comes to your mind. You are not going to share these answers with me or with anyone else, so write down the first thing which comes to your mind. Ready? So the first question is appearing on your screen now. Generally speaking, are people good enough to change their way of working? To change their way of working, is it? Are people good enough, generally speaking, to do that? Next question. How easy or difficult is it to change one's way of working? To change one's way of working, is it easy or is it difficult? Next question. Generally speaking, are people good enough to handle the new normal? To handle the new normal, are people, generally speaking, good enough to do that? Next question. how easy or difficult is it to handle the new normal? To handle the new normal, is it easy or is it difficult? Next question. Generally speaking, are people good enough to handle disruptions in future? Disruptions which may happen in future. Generally speaking, are people good enough to handle them? Next question. Is it possible to keep oneself in high spirits when the world around us is changing? When the world is in a continuous flux, it's continuously changing, is it possible to keep oneself in high spirits? All right, friends. So these are the questions I asked you. But before I asked you these questions, I made you do an exercise where I asked you to close your eyes, focus on your breathing, then look at one point on the ceiling at an angle of 45 degrees, and then close your eyes and then just relax yourself. Now, how many of us noticed that towards the last part of this exercise, we were not having any thoughts in our brain? Did you notice that? So we were at a brain stage, which is called alpha level of brain state, where our logical brain had become sluggish. It had become quiet. The brain activity had reduced to 1/3 of the normal activity. At this level, because your logical brain wasn't interfering, the answers that you gave to these questions reflect the real wiring in your brain. So, for example, the first question was, are people, generally speaking, are people good enough to change their way of working? Now, who is the one person whom we know the best in the world? It is ourselves. And whenever we are answering questions of this nature, generally speaking, do people, then we are answering about ourselves. So if the question was, are people good enough to change their way of working, and you answered no, they are not good enough, that means the wiring in our brain is, I am not good enough to change my way of working. Next, how easy or difficult is it to change one's way of working? And if you wrote it's difficult to change one's way of working, then it's a wiring in the brain, because there are so many people who can instantly change their way of working as the situation demands. Next was, are people good enough to handle the new normal? And if you wrote no, that means there is a wiring in the brain that I am not good enough to handle the new normal. Next was, how easy or difficult is it to handle the new normal? And you can check your answer. If you wrote it's difficult to handle the new normal, then it always will be difficult for us to adopt to change. Next was, how easy or difficult is it to manage oneself nowadays? And if you wrote it's difficult, it will always be difficult. Next was, are people good enough to handle disruptions in future? And if you wrote no, people are not good enough to handle disruptions in future, that means the wiring is, I am not good enough to handle the disruptions in future. And last was, is it possible to keep oneself in high spirits when the world is changing? And if you wrote no, that means we'll always find it difficult to keep in high spirits to handle change. And friends, these are the real blockages or the wiring in the brain which makes it difficult for us to adapt to a changing world. And that is why the corporate training budget keeps on increasing from around $100 billion every year, because unless this wiring is addressed, it will be difficult to change the behavior. Because this wiring, just like I gave the example of being scared of a cockroach or a lizard, or being scared of getting inside a lift, this wiring is not, it doesn't change just by attending a normal training program, or just by the knowledge which all of us have. So friends, at every training program, success will be difficult without first addressing the faulty wiring. And the solution is to rewire this wiring. And how do we do that? So our brain has 4 different levels of activity. Right now, when we are talking to each other, we are at beta level of brain activity. At this level, the neurons are jumping around. Our brain is fully active. And at this level, changing the synapse, the wiring of the brain is very difficult. And maybe that is why 92% people are not able to meet their New Year goals. Now, a level deeper than the beta level is alpha level, where I took you when I asked you to focus on your breathing, look at one point on the ceiling and relax yourself. And your logical brain had become sluggish because you were not having any thoughts in your mind. That is called alpha level of brain state. At this level, the brain activity reduces to 1/3 of the normal activity. And at this level, it is easier because the neurons have settled down. It is easier to change the neuron pattern. So this is an example of the beta level of brain activity where the neurons are jumping around and it's difficult to change them. And this is an example of the alpha level where the neurons have settled down, and using certain techniques, we can change the wiring. And friends, this is what we do in our workshops. And that is why we have the success ratios that we have. And in our workshops, to make the participants get convinced about the power of these techniques, we make them do activities, do tasks which they believe they cannot do. So if we do it even in our online workshops, we courier these steel spoons to them. And during the workshop, we ask them to try bending a steel spoon using one hand. But the wiring in the brain is that this is a steel spoon. How can I bend it? I don't have the strength, and they are not able to do it. But when they use a mind technique, around 50% of them are able to do it in the first try. Let's have a look at this video. This is from one of our earliest workshops. This is a 5-year-old video. And the last person is Mr. Anshul Pandey. He is HR manager in Ayurved Limited. It's a Dabur Limited company. And have a look at the next demo. This we unfortunately can do only in offline physical sessions. In this video, a belief has been planted in the participant's mind that his hand has become numb. And even if somebody pinches or pokes a needle, he will not feel anything. And then I actually poke a needle and he doesn't feel anything. So let's have a look at this video.
आपको कुछ पता नहीं चलेगा क्योंकि ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा ठंडा पानी था। आपका हाथ एकदम जम चुका है, इसमें कोई फीलिंग नहीं है। आपका हाथ एकदम जम गया है, इसमें कोई फीलिंग नहीं है। आपका हाथ एकदम जम गया है, इसमें कोई फीलिंग नहीं है, कोई भी फीलिंग नहीं है। आपका हाथ पूरी तरीके से जम गया है क्योंकि ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा ठंडा पानी था और आपको कुछ भी महसूस नहीं हो रहा है। आपका
So friends, this is what we do, and this is how powerful these mind techniques are. And it will be difficult for us to adapt to change, to become a hybrid employee, or to handle the future disruptions easily till the time this wiring, this faulty wiring, which is as strong as it can be, this wiring makes people remain afraid of insects or lizards, even when they know rationally that they cannot harm them, or this wiring makes it difficult for people to still find it difficult to enter a lift. And 90% of our behavior, why we are not able to change, is because of this wiring. So that this brings us to the end of this session. Thanks for attending the session.
Thank you very much, Amit. That was indeed insightful. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, is our segment titled Profiles in Success. Through this segment, we're going to learn how adopting transformational training and skilling strategies has helped this organization reap considerable benefits around productivity, commitment, and happiness. Joining us is Mr. Tanmay Panda, Chief Human Resource Officer for Universal Sompo. He's an experienced head of human resources with a demonstrated history of working in the BFSI sector. He's skilled in personnel management, employee engagement, recruiting, HR policies, and training, and is a strong human resource professional. He's going to be in a conversation with Mr. Amit Garg. I'd now like to hand over the session to both of you, Amit and Tanmay.
So friends, we have Mr. Tanmay Panda, Chief Human Resource Officer at Universal Sompo India Limited, where he has been working for the last 7 years. And before this, he was head HR at GVK and NPCI Limited. So he has plethora of experience of being able to handle change and advising and guiding his team members in a very reputed position. So welcome, Tanmay. Thanks for sparing time for this session.
Thank you, Amit, for inviting me.
Okay, so I know how important your time is, so I'll straight away jump into it. So let me ask you, Tanmay, to start with, that how important is it to adopt to a hybrid model, organizations as well as employees?
I'm confining to my company. My company did not have that model prior to the pandemic. People accustomed to coming to the office, work from there, and one of cases we used to give that work from anywhere plus office and matching that. The situation suddenly came, which was like the demonetization, like our country's prime minister declared overnight. It was a although we were it was in the offing, but we never knew that it will be straight away a lockdown for the entire country per se. We know what happened to the people got stranded and all these things. But coming to the point, immediately we have to pull up the success, all the other resources we have to channelize. There is a the regulator also happened that there will be a business continuity plan, and such situation we have to immediately come to the point. Move the laptop is like a VPN and all these things. The technology is immediately enabling the technology, and demand was everywhere. It's not that only we are the only company were asking for this support. So there was the demand for the Wi-Fi connection, demand for VPN connection, demand for laptop, everything as, and we have to brave through the challenge. And continuously, and we being the one of the, we cannot shut down our operations also. Because insurance, banking, and they were all under exempted category, and they were treated as an essential because insurance is a must when this is a pandemic situation. Coming to that point, and the safety of the one side, you have to take care of the customers or the people at large, and the other one, the regulators should we see that we are compliant. Third part is that we are employee safety because they're panicky and all these things. So there we that the challenges was there. First and foremost, before I connected with Amit, the first and foremost was there what I thought immediately what I could do internally, apart from my entire team of doing, will you pay the salary immediately to the employees. So that is the first time I think we did, because you don't know whether the banks will be open or not. I started with the month of March. I was the only person in the office before the lockdown or after lockdown I went. I ensured that salary is credited to each employee's account. That is the minimum I can do at that time. Rest of the things follow.
Very nice. So now that we are habitual of staying in a hybrid world and going ahead, that is going to be the new normal. So what are the challenges faced by the organizations in this new normal?
Challenges, there are various types of, because the employees are the same, the category is not the same. If you ask me, the people are staying, those who have haves and have nots. At least in Bombay, I'm staying in Mumbai. Bombay, staying in a 2 BHK flat is also a luxury that way. At least we can afford to have a thing, if you have a society in a right society, at least I can move out. But that is not the case with all the employees. There are junior employees, they were staying, generally they don't stay at home. They start in the morning, they come back in the evening, and they are habituated to the sleeping in the evening, and whenever they have get a chance. I'm talking about a Bombay culture. Forget about the other places. Other places they have that bit luxury. All the challenges are there. So there was no transportation. It was a lockdown scenario, and people have to work, and everybody has to. Suppose there was a forum. They were staying in one room, a small house. The father must be working. Everybody, if there are two siblings are there, all are working, or there is a husband, wife, and the 2 children are there. Then also they have it. Having a 3 BHK flat also, I was facing the challenge of the space crunch. One daughter is working, another daughter is studying. Wife is the boss, and if and there are other, that is another partners, and husband and wife are also both are working.
Like,
just imagine that scenario.
correct.
Generally, what happened? They leave the children at office, all the school. After that, the lady of the house and all these things, they have certain space to, and there was nobody to come to your office to. There was no IR. If all are working, or all the students and everything, no IR. So these are the situation, everything. So what we did, started communicating, starting sharing the problem, keeping the mindset. The communication was the only thing available with that the people we can. And it is not that so that people don't get isolated, so that we all are facing the same challenges. So what happened? People get the luxury dying together is a celebration. Of course, it is not a situation, but dying is we all are in the same situation. It's only the gravity. So better we have their mindset in a happy state of mind, do some gaming. My learning and development team, they geared up to the challenges. They tried to enact only. They did not want to train them only on the hard skill training. We focused on the soft skill at our level.
Very nice.
Initially, before we met you.
So why did you, I mean, you hired us around a year back when it was 3-4 months after the first lockdown had been in place. So any particular reason for that particular time?
Yeah, see, first 3 months was total lockdown scenario. So we managed to hold that and people then. And also there was nobody was, after that also situation was there. We have to come out. We cannot confine ourselves. So some people have to come out and we have to grow our business. We have to earn our bread also, bread and butter. But once the company earns, then only we can take care of the people. And there are also challenges. I told the regulatory requirement is that we can. Keeping that in mind, so and we know that people coming out of the house, always there is a pressure of family pressure. I have come to know that people, anybody going out of the house, he is literally told to take out all his clothes, come with a towel and enter his house, have a bath, then only he can. To that extent, people were so much panicky, as if germs are moving around everywhere. That is like a misnomer and all these things. And people tell, I have to, laptop is getting sanitized or bags are getting sanitized. You are getting sanitized yourself. One sanitation at your home because you are going out, to that extent. So that gives it becomes enters into your mind. So am I become untouchable on my own house? And I have to go out also. And I have that also threat of getting infected also. On the unknown virus, unknown threat plus mindset issue.
Correct. So maybe
psychological, more of it.
So maybe that's why, because the participants were senior sales leaders, because they had to go out more. So maybe that's why you hired us to do workshops for that particular segment.
Yes, they are the leaders. So leaders has to be first. They have to be healthy, and they can disseminate. Once they are okay, then they can disseminate, because under them there are hundreds of people working. They are free on street people. Okay, so if they are not okay, how they will motivate the others? Correct. So I thought that let us capture the senior people. When they are okay, then they will disseminate this mindset to their people. When they do day and day out, they do the communication, the conversation with that team members.
So Tanmay, we did 8 sessions of 2 hours each on wellness and productivity, improving wellness and improving productivity. So how much do you think that those sessions met their objectives?
Yes, both were important. First of all, the productivity cannot happen unless you have the right frame of mind. Right of frame mind will lead to because we know what is emotional intelligence, and because IQ, from IQ we have moved to EQ and SQ. So why these things were everywhere? IQ was a typical, okay, you have a mind, but thing is that when the problem comes, we have also old saying, lot of research papers have happened. In the army also, there is always a saying that is a peacetime general or a wartime general.
Correct.
So when the war comes, no, you are the best peacetime general. You have got all the awards in your life. When the real war happens, then necessarily that you will be the right person to. Sometimes a person who is a circle throughout he becomes a hero in the war. War is the real challenge one faces. So this is one type of war situation. Everybody, all of us, the entire world we faced. So within that world, how many people came out successful? That is the more important part. So that is why we thought that the productivity cannot happen if you have the not right. And the mind programming is very important. So if you are right frame of mind, only we can.
So how successful were these interventions, Tanmay? Did they meet the objective?
Yeah, we took the feedback after that. It was designed to take the feedback after 2 months, after 4 months and all. Although we did the verticalization after that. So we did not carry with the same structure because internally also we have started some change happened in our internal structuring. But having said that, the people who have done, first of all, I am happy to note that as an individual, they thought that we become a better human being. Our problem solving things, that our habits have changed. That is the first thing, because even you as an individual, you become a discipline, rest of the things will fall in place. Right. So that was the thing. So that was the purpose we solved first. We told that we are not our habit of routine of early getting up, right food, right habits, doing the physical movements and exercises, and not getting panic in the situation, remaining cool. These are the major things that it came out. When these things will come out, then what will happen when you handle a difficult situation? Your mindset will go, when a positive mindset will go to the positive result only. Productivity is the secondary output of this right frame of mind. Amit, I am very clear on that.
Correct. Very right.
Then what happened? They told that, and there was a challenge. Inside, we always intended to do it a physical move. But unfortunately, we have to. The one positive thing is that we could connect with the entire country. Geographical was not a constant, but the technology was a big challenge, and the warmth of a personalized movement that was a bit challenges. But these are we are also attuned to that, and people were switching off their camera in spite of you telling that please switch on the camera so I can see to that, because everybody says nobody, and again I am coming to it, everybody is not in the same level. The children must be running at the background, their house may be in the right order, so they were reluctant to because in the camera everything will come, no?
I think we appreciate that, because even though maybe they had to switch off the camera because of the kids or whatever, but I remember in the feedback that we had taken 3 months after the last session, around 80% of the participants said that they are still experiencing the change in their behavior, in the habits, and the wellness and the positivity and productivity and self-mastery. So I think it went off, by God's grace, it went off very well.
No, thanks to your things, because the first time you did such thing.
Right.
And it was the opportune time, luckily, and it is not that I'm just giving appreciating you because I am in front of you, but intently, otherwise we should not have gone for that. And you told that we are doing in a different way. Right. And I took the feedback also from others. And we thought, and we should also give the due credit to the participants also.
Correct.
Because ultimately they are the end users and they have to develop themselves.
Correct.
You can only facilitate them. I can only facilitate them.
So you feel that mind techniques are a good solution to bring change in people, in their behavior, Tanmay?
Absolutely. Absolutely, such mind programmings are there nowadays. Because when unless we are disciplined, unless we are in the right frame of things, when we understand what is the things, understand our problem area, because it is only self-realization the things. Unless we self-realize how we can think about taking care of others, and we have put leaders in that, because leaders they have the people under them. They will be right, only the people will emulate the leaders. Generally the people emulate. If I will be abusive, I will be the people, 100 people, I just emulate, I tell them to become abusive. They also do the same thing to others also. The behavioral pattern, and that is what the culture of an organization, what that is. Culture, we talk a lot of things about organizational culture. What is organizational culture? It is only the underlying behavior. Those who are the right underlying behavior, only that brings in the right culture in the organization. Right cultures bring in the right mindset. Right mindset brings in the right productivity. Right productivity, doing ethically, the business doing ethically right. It is not only the growing the top line, bottom line. That is the only things. But whether we are ethical, whether we are process oriented, all these things can happen when somebody is in the right frame of mind. Somebody is with a sacrificial mindset. Somebody with the intent that yes, it is not only without a selflessly somebody is doing. Yes, we are doing for our living. But still, then there's some amount of selflessness has to be there. Grooming the people, that is selflessness. Otherwise, I can be a silo. I can only groom myself. Why I will groom others?
Correct. These are very deep thoughts, and these are absolutely true, Tanmay. So we have reached the end of this session, Tanmay. And once again, thank you for joining us and for the kind words. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, and we look to see you, Amit. I will want to have a physical program in due course of time. So now also we all are well vaccinated. So I want that we should have a physical. So look and feel and the real feeling I want to.
Definitely look forward, Tanmay. Thank you.
And all the best in all your future endeavors. And
thank you.
All the best, Amit.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you once again, Karan.
Now that was some food for thought. Thank you very much, Amit and Tanmay, for that engaging and engrossing conversation. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to a conclusion of today's session, and I'd request Amit to join us and deliver the concluding remarks. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you, friends, for staying with us. And let me share how can Kushalta Private Limited help you make your employees being adaptable to the hybrid model and to the future disruptions which are expected. So let me show you about us, and let me share the my screen. So Kushalta Academy has been doing these mind programming workshops for the last 6 years or so. And we have customers like Maruti Suzuki, India Post Payment Bank, Idemishu, Universal Sompo, Future Generally, and so many companies. And we have been training right from the CXO level to entry level people. And we have programs on leadership, teams, employees, culture, frontline teams, and various other programs. And every program that we do, it ranges from 12 hours to 16 hours, online or offline. Currently, we are doing only online programs, and we do prefer 2-hour sessions, and those sessions could be on a daily basis, on alternate days, or weekly basis. When we are talking about online programs, and every program that we do is measurable. So, for example, we are doing a program on leadership for CXO level people. So we can, the criteria, the metric could be the number of escalations received by the managing director. So before we start the intervention, we can measure the number of escalations received by the managing director in a 15-day period. Then after the interventions happen, maybe 2 months after that, we can again take a measurement that now the managing director, how many interventions he or she is receiving. And we'll find that there is a substantial decrease in the number of escalations received by the managing director. Similarly, in team collaboration, it could be the number of decisions taken at the interdepartment meetings, because when people are not collaborating, they keep on doing finger pointing or blame game, and the number of decisions is very small. But as people start collaborating, the number of decisions in the interdepartment team meetings start increasing. Similarly, there could be other metrics like turnaround time, NPS surveys, CSAT surveys, top line, percentage goal achievement by 15th of the month. And we have a lot of case studies on our website where the difference in change which has been measured ranges from up to 25%, or in some cases up to 70%. And this is a case study of Universal Sompo, where we did 8 workshops of 2 hours each, targeting wellness and productivity. And after 3 months, when we took the feedback from the client, they told us that around 70 to 80% people have had a changed behavior, which has been continuing for the last 3 months since the workshops ended. And people, they had become calmer, they had started imbibing good habits like waking up early, exercising, meditating, and good habits like doing a day end review, planning the next day, scheduling important tasks of the week on a Sunday, scheduling important tasks of the month on the first Sunday of the month, and so on. Because all these things, they make a person more productive, as well as become relaxed and less stressful or less anxious. And these are some of our customers. So we have been doing online workshops for Maruti Suzuki, Universal Sompo, Future Generali, IFCO. They keep on giving us online workshops. Jindal ITF, SIFI, Kale, Smart Analyst, JP Vasant Continental, IFCO Kisan, GND Currency Technology, Concentrix, Maruti Suzuki. We have done physical workshops for them also. And this is what we do about, friends. And we have these case studies. If I could share the case studies also. As I was saying, this is a case study of Future Generali, where we did a series of interventions for their middle managers who were branch managers. And the branch managers used to have area managers under them. The area managers would have sales managers under them, and sales managers would have agents. And these agents were, supposed to get business for the organization. And the business, the top line wasn't improving. So we did a workshop where we targeted these branch managers, the middle management guys. And the criteria to measure the effectiveness was twofold. One, the number of touch points these branch managers are having with the frontline, with the agents, and the number of trainings attended by the branch managers. Because normally what happens is they don't get their hands dirty. They don't directly meet the agents or train the agents directly or attend the trainings. And if they do that, the agents and the entire chain of employees below them becomes very motivated. And when we did this intervention, after the interventions, there was a 28.75% increase in the these metrics. We did another workshop for Universal Sompo, which I've already shared, and we did one for Jhajjar Power Plant. It's a Singapore-based company who have a thermal power plant in India. And they have 12 departments like operations, maintenance, purchase, raw material, quality check. And these 12 departments, because there was a lack of collaboration, they would keep on fighting with each other. And this would sometimes result in the closure of the plant, which would cause a loss of up to 3 crore rupees per day to the company. So we did a series of interventions for them, 4 interventions of 3 hours each. And 3 months after the interventions, they took a feedback from the supervisors of these departments who were reporting into the CEO. And 58% of the department heads responded that they can see an improvement. And 25% of the department heads reported visible improvement. And we have so many other case studies that we can share, but because of time constraint, I'll stop at that. And you have our website and you have our contact details. So in case you have any query or you want to explore something more about our programs, you can get in touch with us. Thank you for attending this session.
Thank you very much, Amit. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for having taken out your valuable time and joining us for the Urgency of Hybrid Skill Development webinar. I thank you on behalf of Kushalta Academy and Strategy. And I hope that the sessions were both insightful and fruitful for all of you. We'd request you to please take a few moments of your time to fill out the feedback form. Your feedback is absolutely essential for us as it helps us enhance the content, structure, and delivery of our conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to seeing you at our upcoming conferences and webinars. With that, stay safe, stay healthy, and do enjoy the rest of your day.